The laughter echoed down the school hallway like sharp cracks of thunder. But it wasn't the kind of laughter that warms your heart. It was cold, cruel, and humiliating. Maya froze mid-step, her face flushing hot as she felt it, a hand patting her hip, followed by a chorus of snickers. She spun around, her eyes meeting a group of boys leaning against the lockers. Smirks plastered across their faces like they'd just won a prize. "Welcome to Westbrook High, new girl," one of them said, his voice dripping with mockery. The hallway seemed to close in around her. Students whispered, some looking away, others watching with morbid curiosity. Maya clenched her jaw, her mind screaming with a mix of shame, anger, and helplessness. She had just transferred here a week ago, hoping for a fresh start. Now, she was already marked not for who she was, but for the boundaries someone had dared to break. She didn't cry. It's not in front of him, not in front of anyone. She walked away, head high, but inside her chest, something heavy and cold was taking root. That night, in her small bedroom, she sat on her bed staring at the ceiling. The humiliation replayed in her mind over and over. Every time she tried to push it away, the image of their mocking smiles pulled her right back in. She could hear her mother's voice in her head. "You can't control what people do, but you can control how you respond." The next day, the bullies struck again. This time, it wasn't just the hip pat. They started whispering about her. When she walked by, tossing crude jokes loud enough for her to hear. They wanted her to break. They wanted to own the narrative of who she was. And Maya realized something important. She couldn't let them, but what could she do? Fighting back physically would get her suspended. Reporting them to the principal was an option, but she'd seen how that often ended. More mockery, more retaliation. She needed a plan that wouldn't just stop them. It had to make them think twice before they ever did this to anyone else again. So she started watching them. She paid attention to where they hung out, who they talked to, the teachers they respected, and the times when they acted their toughest versus when they looked uneasy. It was subtle at first. She'd accidentally walk by and overhear their conversations. She learned that the ringleader, a tall boy named Tyler, had a reputation to protect. It was popular, but also desperate to stay in the good books of the basketball coach. Maya also discovered something else Tyler had. A history of pushing boundaries with other girls too, but most stayed quiet out of fear. That, she realized, was their power. Silence. By the end of the week, Maya was ready. She gathered 2 other girls, Jenna and Carla, who had their own stories about Tyler and his friends. Together, they decided to break the silence. They went to the guidance counselor with specific incidents, names, dates, and even a few recordings Maya had quietly taken on her phone when the bullies got too comfortable. But Maya didn't stop there. She also confronted Tyler in front of people. She found him in the cafeteria, sitting with his group, and walked right up to him. Her voice was steady, loud enough for the nearby tables to hear. "You think it's funny to touch someone without their permission? To humiliate them in front of everyone?" she said, locking eyes with him. "Here's the thing. I've already spoken to the school about you. And if it happens again, not only will the principal know, but your coach will too. You might want to think about what's more important to you, your little jokes or your spot on the team." The cafeteria went silent. Tyler's smirk faltered. He mumbled something under his breath, but it didn't matter. Everyone had heard her. She walked away, her heart pounding. But for the first time since arriving at Westbrook High, she felt in control. The school took action. Got called in for questioning, and with multiple students speaking up, their pattern of behavior couldn't be denied. They were given strict warnings, suspended from certain activities, and placed under watch by the administration. Over the next few weeks, the whispers and stares started to fade. Some people avoided her. Others looked at her with newfound respect. Jenna and Carla thanked her for giving them the courage to speak up. Maya realized something powerful. She hadn't just stood up for herself. She'd changed the environment. She'd proven that the fear of humiliation only lasts if you give it power. Months later, she saw Tyler in the hallway. He looked away first. That small moment told her everything she needed to know. The balance had shifted. She wasn't just the new girl anymore. She was the girl who stood her ground, and as she walked to class, she smiled to herself. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about hurting someone back. It's about making sure they can't hurt anyone else again.